Okay, so this is the final video. What you need to understand here is you're just expected to look at and interpret the sensitivity report. So these are your variable cells, as it says. So these are the number to make of something. And these are the two things you can make, and that's making the final value. So and these are the final values that you have. So if you look at this one that we did previously, yeah, so that's the however much you make of something, yeah. So that's the total what you would make. So, and these are your prices. The objective coefficient is your prices, and this would be how much you can increase your price by and how much you could decrease it by according to your sensitivity analysis. Okay. So that's how many you would make. So you'd make 1300 of P and 1100 of O. So if we go to the video, it says how many of each type of bookcase should be manufactured. So P would be 1100 and 1300, sorry, and then O would be 1100. Yeah. So it says if the profit on pine bookcases was reduced to £12, would B4U need to change their production plan? Well, here you can see that the allowable decrease is 2, so it's just 13. So if they reduce it to less than 13, which is 12, then yes, they would have to change their production plan, because that is what they mean by allowable decrease is the most that it could be reduced by. So you could see the most that they could be reduced by is 13. Okay. So you would say yes, they would, because most they could reduce profit by. Which, if any, of the resources is scarce? So here it would be anything with a shadow price, because shadow price is what a shadow price is of something. The shadow price is how much you should be willing to pay, of the maximum you should be willing to pay for something that's a scarce resource. So how much more you would offer to pay for something that's in scarce supply. Okay, so anything with a shadow price will be a scarce resource, so it would be cutting and shaping. Sanding and assembly is 0 shadow price, so it's not scarce resources. So cutting and shaping would be for you by 100 extra hours of shaping. Well, you can't say that, because it only says you can do the allowable increase is 75, so it's not possible to say whether they would be able to, because it's only a maximum of 75, so you can't say. I mean, the shadow price is less, so the £8 is less than that, so it's yes in that instance, but the only allowable increase is 75, therefore it's not possible to answer it. So you would say it's not possible to answer. The shadow price is acceptable because it is less than 10. However, the maximum increase is 75 hours, so not possible to say. Okay. And would be for you buy an extra assembly time for £12, and if so, how would they buy? Well, assembly is not No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't because assembly's not a restricted resource for them. It's not a constraint, so they wouldn't be willing to pay any more for it because they've already got Slack. Yeah, so you'd only be willing to pay for something if there's no Slack, if it's a constraint, which is what would be by your shadow price. Yeah, okay. And the constraint side, it tells you what your constraint is. The allowable increase shows you how much you can increase it. Your allowable decrease shows how much you should decrease it. Anything outside those numbers should be rejected. So in this case, the shadow price is 0, so they wouldn't be willing, it's not a scarce resource, they wouldn't be willing to pay anything for it. So the answer is no, would not, because assembly is not a scarce resource. Okay, that's that.